Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. Hi, Chumba. I actually made it on time as well today, so that's good. Sometimes I don't quite make it on time. Okay, how are we all? How are you, Chumba? What's happening there? You're in Glasgow, aren't you, I think? You're in Glasgow? How's the weather there? Well, I'm glad to say we've got the sun back today. Finally, we've got some sun back in Spain, and I have been sunbathing today, so it's been really nice. I think we're going to have rain again on Monday, but anyway, over the weekend it's going to be nice. So it's nice and sunny. So yours feel better when it's sunny, don't you? So before I come on, hi Jill, hi. Before I start talking about the things that I'm going to talk about tonight, always just before I come on live, I just check the breaking news and everything, just in case anything's happened, that I need to talk about. And I noticed on Sky News, because that they found the remains of Madeleine Kingsley over in the USA were found, and a husband or a partner, her ex-partner, has been arrested. And you think, obviously it's not nice that that her remains were found, but it's nice that he was arrested, and now our parents don't have to worry about the custody battle of the children. And then I've come on Sky News, and there's they're talking about Chloe Mitchell, who is a woman from Northern Ireland, from Ballymena, 21 years old, and she disappeared a week ago. And I think, is it her partner or her husband? Oh, they don't say who it is, but a 26-year-old man has since been arrested and is cooperating, but they haven't found her. So I presume she was 21, or she is 21. Well, it's not, unfortunately, it doesn't sound very promising, and it just made me think, oh my goodness, well, it's just endless, isn't it? It's very endless, all this. Oh, thank you, Jackie. Hi, Princess Tippy Toes. Oh, thank you as well. Thanks for all the compliments. That's nice. I've had a nice, I've got quite a bit of colour, I think. I've been on the roof sunbathing, so that's been quite nice. I think a tan always makes you look better. Well, not too much. You've got to be very careful when you live in Spain, because you can end up looking like a leather handbag, if you have too much sun. But a little bit of sun, I think a little bit of a tan, it always makes you look better and feel better. Yes, Debbie, so many victims, and mostly women, and you could get quite, I try not to get depressed about it, because it's sort of something that always interests me whenever I hear of these cases, just purely because of my own experiences years ago. And I know there's a lot of people in my chat, a lot of women particularly, that come in my chat, and they've had similar experiences. And that's what draws us to these cases, because we can identify with them. It's very sad. There's got to be some, what is going wrong? What is this? Because I don't think it's getting any better. I think, if anything, it's getting worse. You'd think it would be better, domestic violence. Now everybody's so woke, whatever that exactly is. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but everybody's woke, saying that, they respect everybody for everything, but there seems to be more violence, Oh, I'm glowing. Yeah, I'm glowing. Like the Ready Break. Do you remember the Ready? I always remember the Ready Break advert, like go to school on Ready Break, and that's what we used to have for breakfast, and they'd be glowing. Vix? Are you calling me Vix? Vix Vapor Up, Terry. Hi, Terry. Vix. Yeah, Heather, I think it did. I think it escalated during lockdown, and it was here as well in Spain, exactly the same. And, always on Twitter, because I follow, our Prime Minister, President, whatever you call him, he's called Pedro Sanchez in Spain, the Prime Minister of Spain, or the President of Spain. He's very tall, very good looking. But apart from that, I liked him anyway. He was brilliant. I thought he was brilliant during lockdown. He was very clear. We had a very strict lockdown, but it was very clear what we had to do, and it was adhered to by everyone, not just sort of the general population. It was like, everybody respected it. Nobody broke it. It was enforced by the police, but it was, I wasn't against it at the time because it was to keep us safe. And it's hard to explain unless you'd actually seen him speaking, because obviously I would watch the British press conferences about COVID, as well as the Spanish press conferences about COVID, and the difference just after when I'd watched Pedro Sanchez would stand there alone, he wouldn't have people deflecting attention onto other people like the scientists, etc. He was just there. He was very authoritative but caring and everything, and you just, after you'd seen him speak, you felt good afterwards. But there were so many cases of domestic violence. Hi, Desi. So many cases of domestic violence. And I follow Pedro Sanchez on Twitter. And, it seemed like so regularly, he would be because he always, any case that ever happened, there were lots of murders, of domestic violence during lockdown, and it seemed, oh God, it just seemed so many. And he would make this apology and say to the family, we've got to stop this and we've got to do something about it. And then, after about the 10th one, you're thinking, well, what are you doing about it? And honestly, in Spain, the police, they have a zero tolerance for domestic violence. I literally could phone. Yeah, we were. Do you know, Jackie, we were outside banging on our pans every night. Not just Thursdays, it was the biggest pain in the ass you can imagine, because it was 8 o'clock every night, every single night. And the thing is, obviously, it was all right in the beginning when it was still winter. It was March and it was still cold. And people would go out, they'd do their clapping, they'd do their banging on their pans for 10 minutes at 8 o'clock. And then they'd come back inside because it was Spanish people don't like the cold. I mean, I live in a Spanish community. All my neighbours are Spanish. There are no British people where I live. And so they were all, and Spanish people eat about 10 o'clock at night, whereas I tend to eat at 8 o'clock. So it was always the time that I was thinking, oh, just sit down and have my dinner, and then suddenly it'd be all like chaos. But it was all right in the beginning because it was cold. So they'd come out at 8, they'd have a little shout across at each other in the street, and then they'd be back in at 8:15. But as time went on and the weather got better and it got lighter at night because of the change of the clocks, etc., oh my God, so they would be out there for an hour. So 8 o'clock would be the 8 o'clock applause, or whatever they call it. Then we'd have police cars, and because then we'd have like the not the health people. Who was it? There's a group of, it's not the police, it's like the community police. They would drive around in their car and they would applaud us then. So we'd go out and applaud them. They'd be applauding us. That'd go on for 20 minutes. Then all my neighbours would be out because they'd be at their gates, because Spanish people are gregarious. They like to be out there. It drove them mad. It was very difficult for the Spanish to be in because they're not an inside kind of people. They're always outside. They talk, they chat in the street. They're all the time. That's just the way they are. So to not be able to go outside their gate, they would go as near to their gate as they could and shout over to the neighbours over the other side of the road. And so that would go on for an hour. So it was very irritating, to be honest, because it was every night as well. So I think if it would have just been one night a week, I could have just about stood it. But in the end, I was thinking, oh my God, I don't think I can stand this any longer. But yeah, anyway, of course, it did finish in the end. So Heather, yes, the healthcare is very, very good in Spain. You know, it's funny, when I first came to Spain, I didn't know anything about the healthcare. You know, I was younger then, and you don't even think about healthcare, do you, when you're younger? I mean, it's like, you know, don't really think about how it affects you, or do you think about it more as you get older? But I remember my dad saying to me when I came to live in Spain, he had this sort of vision of what Spain was like it was some backward country, or I don't know why that is, because Spain is a very modern country. And he said like my mum had had a colostomy bag, unfortunately, and I was always trying to get them to come over here for a holiday, and my dad would say, well, do they have bins over there? I mean, he was very sort of Victorian, and I say, well, of course they have bins. I mean, we have a bin at the end of the road, like a skip type bin. What happens here is, you know, everyone from the street goes and we don't have individual bins, and they come every night to empty the bins, every single night. Well, say night, 5 o'clock in the morning, they come to empty the bins every day. So, you know, it was a weird thing for him to say, but I suppose he just didn't know. He'd never been to Spain. So, and then when I first started interpreting it, I mean, I've had a lot of experience with the doctors in the hospitals, some for me, but most really as an interpreter, you know, for other people. And it's fantastic. You know, it's really, the health service is brilliant. You know, so people think it isn't because they don't really know about Spain, but it is. It suffered after the recession and COVID, you know, like everything did, there was problems. But I think, yeah, you know, touch wood, I have had some dealings with the health service, but touch wood, not with anything serious, touch wood, and I hope I never will. But like, for example, my son, he does boxing. And here in my little village, we have a health centre, which you can go 24 hours a day. It's open. So you know, he'd come back from boxing one day and he'd been punched in the chest, and he had a pain in his chest. So he was worried, obviously. And he's only young, but it was this pain in his chest. And he thought maybe it was his heart, you know, and doctor shortage. No, there's not a doctor shortage, Debbie. What's your country, Debbie? Which country are you in? Are you in the UK or? Anyway, so off he went to the health centre here in our village. They said they recommended him to go to the hospital, which is 20 minutes up the road. We went to the hospital, and within 2 hours, he'd been seen. He'd had every test imaginable, and he'd been cleared that it was okay. It was just a muscle, you know, because he'd been punched in his muscle. That's why he had the pain in his muscle. And literally with it, because, you know, you go into the hospital emergency department, they triage you, you know, they decide if it's and obviously his might have been a heart thing. So he must have been selected as one of the prime, you know, to be seen first. But even if you're not, you know, it's not like the UK where you wait for hours and hours. Possibly. Hi, Bad Fairy. Hi, Rachel. Yes, well, do you know, Heather, a lot of the NHS workers have now come to Spain. I've had a lot of students, Eastern Europeans, because of Brexit. It's so complicated now to stay in Britain. A lot of them have come to Spain, and I know this because they've come to me for Spanish classes. Romania, Estonia, Poland, etc. So complicated now to stay in Britain, and and I think Britain has lost a lot of good workers. You know, I've had paramedic, one lady that came for classes from Romania originally, but do you know what? She'd lived in Britain for 20 years. She was the most British Eastern European that I've ever met. She loved the royal family. She loves Britain. She loved everything about it. But she found, and she was a paramedic, and then she worked as a carer, her and her husband, and had worked there for all those years. And then they started getting racist abuse as well. You know, like my son says it's not racism, it's xenophobia. When you know, she and there were lots of things, and the problems with visas, because she didn't have. She had a Romanian passport, even though she'd been in Britain all that time. Anyway, to cut a long story short, she came here to Spain, and she's not the only one. I've had quite a lot of students like that. And I think that's it. There's a failure. There aren't, you know, it's more difficult to get the staff, obviously, because it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a terrible shame. But anyway, what's going to happen about it, I don't know. Hopefully something will change sooner or later. But yeah, too many patients, not enough hospitals, not enough staff, not enough doctors. And then, you know, everyone's getting prescribed or seen over the telephone, which we did do here during COVID. That happened during COVID, obviously, unless it was something where they absolutely had to see you. You would get a telephone appointment. But once then they established that they needed to see you, you were there straight away. Listen, I can tell now, gosh, we're going totally off the subject here, aren't we, of anything that we're supposed to be talking about. But during COVID, anyone, if you've read my book, I should have done the housekeeping, my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, apart from the fact that I say in there, like, about my early life and how I ended up coming to live in Spain, and, you know, why I'm interested in true crime and stalking, etc. But at the back, there are some of my experiences as being an interpreter here in Spain. They're the ones that you probably find quite funny. And if you've read the book, you'll know what happened. Because during COVID, the very first Saturday of the COVID experience, I slipped in the shower, fell over and banged my eye. And I mean banged it. I had a black eye. I had a black eye for about a month. I mean, you would have thought somebody had punched me in the eye. But I didn't go to the hospital. You know, normally I would have done, because I knew I'd done something to my eye. I mean, I think I actually broke my nose at the side here, because, you know, here we've got like the shower in the bath, and I'd slipped and whacked my eye on the side of the bath. And I've still got like a crack here at the side of my nose. But so in normal times, I would have gone to the hospital. I would have had an X-ray. I don't think it would have made any difference to what happened, but at least I would have gone, and I think I would have had an X-ray, and they probably would have found a fracture there at the side of my nose. Anyway, I didn't go. Because it was that very first. I mean, it was just horrible. You know, everyone was terrified of going anywhere near a hospital because of COVID, etc. It's when the hysteria was really at its peak. And what's up with Rachel? Sorry, hang on. I've got to go back in the chat. I think I missed that. Rachel, tell me again. You've had to wait over 4 weeks for a biopsy result. And have you had the result now, Rachel? Tell us what the result is. Oh, yeah. Sorry about your brother-in-law. Heather, yeah, you need a non-slip mat. Yeah, well, I don't shower in the bath anymore. I've got a downstairs shower as well, which is like a shower plate, and I just go in there. I wouldn't go in the bath again. It was, I slipped on some conditioner. You know, I was putting conditioner on my hair, and it must have fell in the bath anyway. So let me tell you the story. So I didn't go to the doctor or anything, and I was fine, you know, apart from this massive black eye. And then as time went on, about 6 months later it was, when we'd been opened up, ready to, you know, I could do classes again, because of course I couldn't do classes except online, Spanish classes. That's the other thing that I'm supposed to tell you about, isn't it, with the housekeeping that I always forget. If you want to learn Spanish on Amazon, Vicki Riley, Break the Language Barrier. Anyway, couldn't do any face-to-face classes during COVID. And then about 6 months later, when we could start face-to-face classes again, I started noticing, I think I wrote a book at the time, one of the books I finished off at the time, and I'd been on the computer a lot. And I noticed that I couldn't see very well out of this eye that I'd had the black eye. My vision started to go in it, but it was about 6 months later. And oh gosh, it was really weird. It was like, I thought it was eye strain, but it was quite strange. It was like an opaque, it was like looking through a frosted glass window, so I could see perfectly out of my other eye. But it was with this eye, it was like I was looking through an opaque frosted glass window, so I could see shapes, but I couldn't actually see clearly. And it happened sort of slowly but quickly, which sounds weird, but it probably happened over a couple of weeks. And then suddenly, and I mentioned it to, hi Bob, hi. Is Rachel with clear? Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Rachel. So where was I? So I was telling you about my dodgy eye. That's right. So it was really quite strange, because it was sort of like, as I say, it was like looking through frosted glass out of this eye. And I said to a girl that was working with me at the time, another teacher that I had working with me, and I mentioned it to her, and I said, oh, I've got this terrible eye strain, because this is just what I thought it was from being on the computer too much. And she said, oh, you need to go to the doctor and get it checked out. And, I am sort of one of those people who only goes to the doctor when, I don't know, I must have a phobia about doctors or something, but I'm a bit naughty as far as doctors are concerned. If I go to the doctor, it really is something like, my son goes mad, because he's the opposite. He really has got all this trust in doctors, and I'm a little bit, I think it might be about Dr. Shipman or whatever, the reason that I'm a little bit cautious. Anyway, in the end, I went to the doctor, and in fact, I didn't go. I just phoned up, and they immediately referred me to the eye specialist at the hospital. Because what they do here is, in the doctors here in Spain, they don't try and deal with, they just immediately refer you to a specialist. I mean, they deal with general things, and then follow up from a specialist your doctor might deal with. But really, like something like that, you go to your doctor and say, oh, my eyesight's sort of going in this eye, just straight to the eye specialist. They don't try and diagnose it from the GP surgery. And I had a cataract. And when I went to, because I was panicking about, I was thinking, oh my God, I could have a brain tumor, or, I don't know what, or I could have, when you start Googling and you see all the things it could be, I could have dislodged my retina or anything. Anyway, when I went to the hospital, and they gave me, that it's very state of the art here in Spain, they've got all the top equipment, like everything's latest. It really is fantastic. And the guy said to me, oh, you've got a cataract. And I said, a cataract? Because I was thinking, I know I'm not young, but I didn't think I was really at an age where I would have a cataract. But he told me that anyone over the age of 50 has got a cataract. Anyone over the age of 50 will have the beginnings of a cataract. Bob, you've had both eyes done. Yeah, hi everyone coming in. Don't forget to like, please. Just remember to like. That's the only thing. Yeah, you can see. Oh my God, it's fantastic. It's like a miracle. It's a miracle. We're so lucky just in the Western world. Anyway, gosh, I'm not talking about anything that I was supposed to be talking about, but anyway, he said that he said anyone over the age of 50 will have a bit of a cataract. Cataracts start forming over the age of 50. And then, so everybody will have it, but you wouldn't even notice it because it's very progressive, very slow. So it take quite a long time before you noticed it. But he said that when I slipped and I banged my eye, it accelerated it. So you can get your cataracts made worse by trauma. If someone punches you in the eye, you can get a cataract. So, well, you don't get a cataract. You've already got it, but it accelerates it. So, Hi, Audubon. So what is a cataract? Well, a cataract is like a layer over, as you get older, isn't it the lens thickens of your eye? It thickens. And it's just like a layer over your eye, but they can remove it. You know, we're lucky, as I say, in the Western world that they can remove it, because there are people queuing up in third world countries going blind because of cataracts. Anyway, he said, you've got a cataract in that eye. He said, you've got a tiny little bit of one in the other eye. He said, but it could be 20 years before it ever affects you. But this one's been accelerated because you fell and banged your eye. So it was like, oh my God. So it's okay, we can remove it. And they put you a clean lens in, or a new lens. Yeah, another thing to add on the list. But the good news is that they can, honest to God, right? So you can imagine this. So I'm a person who's terrified of doctors, operations, anything. You know, I really am. I'm quite brave with some things, but not anything to do with medical things. I'm not. And they booked me in for this cataract operation. Said, oh, it's okay, it's no problem, we can deal with it. And within 3 months or whatever, they called me for the operation. And by then, I was practically blind in that eye. Well, it wasn't blind, it was hazy. But honestly, I was thinking to myself, oh, well, I don't really need to. I was so scared of having this operation. I was saying to myself, I don't really need to have this done. I can see perfectly well out of the other eye. So I'm fine with one eye. What do I need two eyes for? Because I was so scared of having this operation. Anyway, to cut a very long story short, I did go through with it. I nearly didn't go through with it. I mean, that's a whole video in itself to tell you the story of the operation and that. But all I would say, I think what I want to say is, yeah, I was awake for both as well, Debbie. They didn't put me out. I was the only person. There were about 8 people, because they line you up. It's like, you know, it's just I was going to say pequeño, then I was going to speak Spanish. It's just a small operation. It's it literally the actual operation itself takes 15 minutes. So it was quite a big bill. You know, you're there and they give you all the tests and everything. But when they actually wheel you down for the operation, you're literally in there 15 minutes. I wasn't put out. I was given some sort of sedative to just calm me down and that. And I was awake through the whole operation. And that's probably the one time that I regretted the fact that I could speak Spanish, because I could hear them speaking. And it seemed to be a guy doing it, and he seemed to be showing another guy how to do it. So I could hear everything that they were saying, and I could understand everything that they were saying. And not that they, you know, there was some saying, oh, is that how you do it? Oh gosh, you know, like that. And I'm thinking, oh my God. But, you know, you don't even realize. I was terrified because it's to do with your eyes. There's something about your eyes, isn't it? Oh, you've just had, Debbie, you've just had 2 removed. Did some things just popped up on my screen? I don't know where it is because I'm rubbish at these things. But anyway. So what I'm trying to say is, if you get an opportunity to go for a cataract operation, do it. Don't be scared. You, honest to God, it is, I call it my bionic eye now. So it's this eye, and hopefully it might be another 20 years before I have to have the other eye done, if ever, because I've actually got really good eyesight for my age. You know, I don't know why. I think because I've always worn sunglasses. I keep out of the sun when it's really, I've always protected my eyes. You've got to protect your eyes. But so basically what I'm trying to say is, if you do need an operation for a cataract, don't be scared. Go ahead with it. I nearly didn't go. Honest to God, I was that far. Even when I actually got into the surgery, you know, and they said to me, oh, go behind that curtain and you have to sort of undress and put on like a gown. I think that's the first time that I realised that this is actually an operation that I'm having. And I was that far from just turning around and going. But, Right, okay. Your comments are showing on the screen. Oh, that's good. I don't know how that's happening. I'm not doing anything. I like. So, and you know, one of the reasons that I ended up going through it was because of my son, because he said to me, do you know what? He said, you're lucky. He said that you can have this operation. There's people all over the world that would love a cataract operation because they're blind. And you've got the opportunity to have it, and not only have it, but free of charge, because we have a health service here just the same as in the UK. And you know, he said, you've got to do it. He said, you're lucky. You're lucky that you've got the opportunity to have it done. You should. And I don't know what people that happened with the COVID jabs and all that. I was terrified of that as well. But you know, it's funny. He's so young, my son. But the thing is, he's not an anti-vaxxer. And he said to me, you know, you're lucky because there's people all over the world that can't have it. So, you know, it depends how you look at things. We are lucky if we live in a country where we've got free health service. So I've had that cataract operation. I didn't have to pay for it. People in America, Barb, you have to pay for it, don't you? Or unless you've got what's the word? Insurance. Yeah, I can. Do you know, Charlie? When I went for my follow-up, my eyesight is perfect. The only difference between my two eyes now is if I look through this eye, the one where I've had the cataract, if I look at the colour white, it is bright white, like, you know, pure white. If I look at it through my other eye, where I haven't had the operation, and the doctor said to me, I've got a tiny bit of a cataract in there, but it'll take years to progress. And I look at the same white thing, it's slightly yellowy. It's hard to, it's like sepia. Because this eye is perfect and that eye is slightly less than perfect, but I don't wear glasses. I've never had to wear glasses. I've not worn glasses since the operation. I couldn't, yeah. Debbie, you sound exactly like me. Oh, you were poor, so you got it free. Barb, I couldn't drive, but now I can drive. You've got 20/20. I think my vision now is more or less, I've always had good vision. I've been lucky with that. You know, I just have been lucky with my vision always. I don't know why, because all the rest of my family wear glasses. Everyone in my family has to wear glasses. And I don't for some reason, but I have always protected my eyes. I think it's because of when you come to live in Spain, because it's so sunny, like the sun's good in one way because it's bright and it's good for your eyesight, but you've got to always protect your eyes. So I've always worn sunglasses probably for the last 25 years, whether it's sunny or not. The first thing I do when I go out the door is pick up my sunglasses and put them on. So I think that does help. Yes, so there's lots of, I think any of you, if you're worried about your eyesight for whatever reason, you know, I know people who've had the laser surgery so they don't have to wear glasses anymore, nothing to do with cataract. And it was funny because when I went for the cataract operation, I felt so young when I was in there because everybody, you know, mine had been accelerated by the fall, but everyone else in there was in their 70s probably. And I was like, for the first time, you know, for a long time, I was the youngest person in there. I was also the only one out of the expats in there that spoke Spanish. So they all had me like, they were all asked, once they realised I could speak Spanish, they were trying to ask me to ask the doctors things and the nurses things. Oh, can you ask them this? Can you ask them that? I don't know how people live here when they don't speak Spanish, especially when they've got, imagine going in for that operation or any operation and you can't communicate with them. That would be my worst nightmare. But anyway. So yes, so I've got my bionic eye now. I can see perfectly. Oh, good for you, Princess Tippy Toes. Debbie, did you tell me where you were? Debbie McLean. You were saying dollars. Are you in Canada or are you in the UK? Anyway, let's go. We should really start on what we were talking about, what we're supposed to be talking about. So this morning I put you the video out about the Nicola Bulley inquest. So it's on 2 days now. The public can go, but you have to apply for a place. They're only offering, hi Catherine, they're only offering 70 seats, if you like, to the public. And I'm so relieved that they're doing that, because honestly, even though I'm not going or anything, but I was worrying how they're going to control this inquest, because you know that there's just going to be loads of people that are going to turn up. Apparently, if you listen to the video that I put out, apparently people are threatening to go and disrupt it, and I just don't understand that. I understand why people would want to actually go to the inquest, because everyone's so interested in what happened to Nicola. Everyone cares about what happened, etc. I don't understand why people would be threatening to go there and disrupt it or make just that is just not on. You're in Canada, Debbie. Right, okay. It's and how is the sky going now? Because you've had the fires, haven't you? You've had a lot of problems in Canada. Is that? Yeah, no, that's not dignified, is it, Jackie? So let us know. Was it New York that they've had the problems as well with the fumes from the fires and everything? They've had big problems, haven't they, in Canada? Well, I mean, Canada's a big place, so I don't know which part you're in, but I'd love to go to Canada. It looks a very beautiful place. Anyway, lots of places that I'd like to go to. Since I came to Spain, I haven't really been anywhere apart from Spain or the UK. But it's like you sort of come here and you sort of, Spanish people are not, they don't go on holiday. Well, no, that's not the right thing to say. They don't go outside their country to go on holiday, because they've got everything here. Like, people think of Spain as, beach and sun and etc. But also, you can go skiing here. There's mountains. You don't really need to go outside Spain for whichever type of holiday you like, whether you like a skiing holiday, whether you like a mountain holiday, whether you like a beach holiday. Spain has got it all, so Spanish people are not big travelers. Like in the UK, we're big travelers, aren't we? Because we're always chasing the sun. But in Spain, they've got the sun, so they don't tend to travel that much. And I get, since I've been in Spain, I've turned into the same. The only places I've ever been since I came to live in Spain 26 years ago are either back to the UK or some other part of Spain. I haven't been outside Spain on a different, on a holiday to somewhere else. But I am next week, though. As you know, next week I'm going on location. Either later tonight or tomorrow, my members will find out exactly where I'm going. I'm going to the scene of a famous crime, but I'm hopefully combining it with a holiday as well. And I will let my members know either tonight or tomorrow where I'm going. And on Monday, all my subscribers will know. Okay, so smoke blows down into the US. They're mad at Canada. All right, okay. Gosh. Yeah, I mean, it sounds awful. So in Quebec, Alberta, Nova Scotia. Oh, Nova Scotia. I always think of that from the song, You're So Vain. I sing that on karaoke sometimes. So I'd quite like to go to Nova Scotia. Anyway, sorry. So I'm getting distracted, aren't I? So what was I talking about? The inquest. So yeah, so I showed you, you can go if you do want to go to the inquest. And all I would say is, if you get a place, great. But I wouldn't recommend someone to go unless they've actually, managed to get a place there at the inquest and be respectful. And I don't think there's any of my subscribers or chatters would be disrespectful. I think they would all be respectful, because whatever we might think of PA is the rest of the family to think about, and just respectful to Nicola's memory. And we will find out whatever comes out of this inquest. I showed you the results of the other inquest there. They do go into detail. So we will get to find out it'd be nice to find out at the time, and we're all dying to find out, what evidence there is, etc. But we just might have to wait an extra day or two, but we will find out. Oh, so first thing I wanted to tell you about. When Spain was on fire, Bad Fairy, you had the same in the UK, yellow sky and orange moon. We get sometimes. Do you think sometimes I wonder, are they just blaming it all on other countries? Because we had, was it last year? We had Saharan sky. We had the sand from the sun. This is what they told us. It was the reason. Sometimes I don't know what the real reason is. Our skies were orange and yellow. And they said that this was sand taken up from the Sahara, and it was in the clouds. And it was really surreal. I came up because it was just after the Ukraine war had started. And my classroom is downstairs. And I came up from being in class all day, looked out and there's no windows downstairs. I looked out the window and the sky, I thought there'd been a nuclear war had started or something. I'd never seen a sky like it. And it was all yellow. And anyway, they said that was sand from the Sahara. Yeah, it's probably climate change and all these things that are going on. Right, so I want to tell you, I sent an email back to Mr. Snowden because he got his office, didn't he, to send me an email. Let me see. He got that lady from his office and sent me an email back. And I just want to read you, because I'm really, pardon my French, but I'm actually really pissed off with Mr. Snowden. He's just a prat, isn't he? He's like, he telling everybody else what to do, and then he's out there saying a load of rubbish. He doesn't care about Nicola. He doesn't care about, all he cares about is his career, or that's how it seems to me. Anyway, so I felt like I had to say what I thought, because that's just me. So I sent an email back to this Anna. I mean, she was kind to reply to me, so I wasn't having a go at her. But I'm going to read out to you the reply that I sent. I'm not expecting a reply back from this. It wasn't the sort of email that I wanted a reply. All I wanted was him to know how people feel about him. So I said, good morning, Anna. Thank you so much for replying. That is very much appreciated. I wonder if you would, on mine and many others' behalf, communicate to Mr. Snowden the following. Because bearing in mind, he didn't reply to me directly. He's got this lady to reply. So I've asked her to communicate to him on our behalf the following. We feel that many of us and our families live in the area, and especially women, that we are not protected by the Lancashire police, and we have little or no faith in the way this case has been conducted from the start. We are still unaware of what happened on the welfare check on Nicola on the 10th of January. Meanwhile, her personal medical issues have been made public. We want to feel that we are protected by the police, not the very opposite. We know the inquest is coming up, which is why we were astounded when he made his ridiculous comments before the official verdict of the coroner. So this is when he was on a local video saying, the police were right all the time. She was found in the river, and they even knew what day she would be found in the river. I mean, just the most stupid thing. He's not supposed to be. The coroner has said no one's supposed to comment on it, and then we've got the commissioner of police just creating more speculation. And then I said, we know all about the independent, and I put the independent in inverted commas. We know about the independent review due to report in September, but we have no faith in it. again, his remarks make it seem apparent he has already decided what the result will be. It is not independent. Mr. Snowden will be simply marking his own homework. It is, in our eyes, merely a delaying tactic, typical of the current climate of gaslighting the public by organisations. And then finally I said, we do not feel, as evidenced by his own comments, that Mr. Snowden appreciates the many issues Nicola Bulley's case has raised and the concerns that have resulted. And then to finish off, I just said, perhaps he can take all that into account in his independent review. But again, thank you so much for your reply. So I just felt so good when I mean, hi Mia, hi. Mia, stay now, it's okay. Oh no, stay now, Mia, because there's still quite a lot to say. I mean, you can always catch up afterwards as well. But yeah, so I just felt so good when I said, because I thought he just thinks everyone's an idiot, or he's just going around saying, oh yes, we're having this independent review, as if we don't even know that what he means is, well, hopefully by September everything will have died down and nobody will be talking about it. He's already decided what the result of that independent review will be, because he's said that. He's such an idiot. What an idiot. And it makes me angry because he is a very important person. And although I don't live in Lancashire now, all my family live there. All my family live there. I've got a big family in that area. And, lots of girls, women, etc. And, what protection are they being offered? But anyway, never mind. Anyway, so I've replied, or I've sent that, and although I don't know who that Anna is in the office, but I'm sure he will get to see the email, and 100% he will get to see the email. So I've said what I thought, and I always feel better when I actually say what I think. Whether it results in anything, I don't know. But you know what? If enough people write to him and say they're not happy with what he's doing, and they're not happy with the comments he's made, and they're not happy with the independent review, which isn't independent at all. If enough people wrote, then, that's what does change things, isn't it? Okay, so what else have I got to tell you about? Gosh, I got so sidetracked talking about counteracts. All right, yeah, I had some developments on Madeleine McCann. So totally changing the subject now. Well, I say I did, and it was funny because this morning when I was looking on Sky News website, I'm back. I'm back in the room. Sorry about that. Probably buffered. I don't know what happened there. Something happened, but I'm not sure. But I should be back now. I'm back, Claire. Hi, Claire. I'm back. I'm back. I should be back now. I'm back. Can you see me now? Can you see me now? Am I back? Ah, good. You can see me now. Good. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It just cut off. I hate my internet. I've got to trying to get a better internet, but I'm not getting very far. So yeah, Madeleine McCann. So apparently the stuff that they were recently at the dam there near where Madeleine was supposedly abducted, if she was abducted by Christian B. you know, the German police are quite convinced. They've taken this soil material from the wells and they're going to analyse the soil material to see if it matches the dirt found in Christian B's van. Which, you know, I mean, I don't know, but it's a long time ago now, isn't it, when the actual abduction happened? But if the dirt is still, will it still be there in his wheels from all those years ago? But anyway, they've also taken away some clothing that they found, plastic objects, the USB sticks apparently. Now, I'm sure if they really did take away USB sticks from that site, because it's quite a while ago now, isn't it? It's over a week ago. I'm sure they would know by now what was on those USB sticks. Surely they would see the photos by now. How long will it take? How long would it take to check you know, literally you'd take the USB port and just stick it in a computer. It'd take like 5 minutes. So surely they've tried those by now. But yeah, so it was quite mysterious because I when I looked first of all this morning, I could see there was quite a bit of information about it. And when I went back later I thought, all right, I'll write all that down. Most of it had disappeared again. So I don't know. But anyway, so that literally is, I thought I'd have more of an update than that, but that literally is the only update I've got, that apparently they've got this soil material and they're checking it, analysing it to see if it matches the dirt found in the van. That's right. So I suppose, yeah, the dirt could still be in the van if he's never cleaned his van in, 20 years since Madeleine went missing. But maybe not, maybe he hasn't. So, but yeah, but he has freely admitted that he did go to that site, you know, which is like a big reservoir, isn't it? Like some sort of beauty spot where people go for picnics and that. So he's not denied that he has gone there. So how would that connect him to Madeleine? Just because, unless they actually have found something of Madeleine. So we'll find out. Hi again, about Fairy. Yes, Jackie, hi Phyllis, hi. They've got his van. Definitely, they must have his van because that's what they said they were going to compare it with. But yeah, it's quite, I found it hard then to get this information. I felt like the information was there 1 minute that I was thinking, oh, this is enough for an update. And then when I tried to find it, that was all I could find. So I don't know. That's another case, isn't it? It's the mystery of it. There's so many red herrings, so many. I personally still don't think that he did it. As I say, I think he's a piece of shit and he's probably a horrible person, and maybe he's done other things. But until we actually get the evidence, and yeah, the more I'm thinking about it now, if they took off USB sticks, if they did, because that was the rumor that they had, surely they would have checked them by now. Sure, that can't be difficult to check. Yeah, Heather, it could be a setup. I think it might be a setup. Chumba's saying she thinks the van was scrapped. So why are they saying this then, that they're comparing the soil? You know, it's just layer upon layer of mystery, that case again, isn't it? And this is what makes drives the public crazy, isn't it? When there's mystery, when there's like, you know, so many not only, you know, all right, with any case, there's always going to be some mystery until it's solved. But with some cases, the mystery just goes out like ripples. And sometimes you think it's almost deliberate. I did feel like in the Madeleine case that some of it was created, some of the mysteries and the sightings. And, you know, it was I'm Madeleine McCann, and, you know, DNA tests, and Madeleine was seen in Africa with a man with a German accent, or, you know, it's just all rubbish. It's all smoke screens. Well, I'll tell you who would benefit, Barb, if it was the German, is the McCanns, because then they would be cleared. So if it was, you know, he's, yes, give me a like. Thank you, Phyllis. He's like, I think he's a scapegoat as well, because if they've got a a likely suspect there. It'd be easy to pin it on Christian B because he is like not a nice person. So people want to think it'd be Christian B, though I personally don't want to think it would be him, because that would mean that Madeleine had really suffered. I feel that it was probably an accident, a very sad, tragic accident, and I feel for the McCanns. I don't think they were so horrible that they did it, that they killed her on purpose, and they were probably protecting their own reputations, protecting their other two children, of course, who are now 18. Now, somebody said to me, yeah, it's true that the Portuguese policeman, Goncalo, I need to look into him a bit more, don't I, really? Because I don't know what, again, a lot of the things that I know about him are things that the McCanns or their publicity team, because we mustn't forget that they had a publicity team. That Clarence Mitchell was sent out to be their media guru. Who in the world of true crime, whoever gets a media guru to sort out their case, who was appointed by the government, of course. So right, so I've forgotten what I was going to say now. So yes, I need to look into Amaral, the Portuguese policeman, more. But he always said that it would get blamed on a jury. He believes, doesn't he, that it was an accident, that Kate knew much more than she was letting on, and he's adamant that the McCanns were responsible for Madeleine's death. Accidental, but responsible. And he said that a German would get blamed for it. I don't know why he said that. Do you know on the dog? Hang on a minute. Has he passed away? And do you know Goncalo Admiral dog was found dead? What do you mean the dog was found dead, Chumba? Which dog? You mean his pet dog, or are you talking about the cadaver dog? But yeah, Heather, no other missing children have had so much. Look at Ben Needham. Ben Needham, that was he disappeared. He didn't have the same attention. His mother didn't get the same help and attention. Well, she wasn't a doctor, was she? So well, if you watch, there's a connection with the McCanns. They've got connections in high places, and certainly with the media. But yeah, maybe he did it. Well, maybe he did. Unfortunately, we don't know. It's one of what's quite sad is it'll sort of go down into like it's almost like it was a real little girl, a beautiful little girl, but it almost feels like a legend now, because there's just been so many fantastic stories, so many things spoken about it, and that it's like it, but it was real, and that little girl disappeared. And do you know what? It must have been awful for the parents if, even if they were responsible, I'm sure they didn't want to lose Madeleine, but and I'm sure it's been hell for them, whether they were responsible or not. It's horrible, but will we ever know? Will we ever know the truth? I don't know. I think the problem with the McCanns wasn't it, that after Madeleine went missing, they weren't that distraught. Now, you watch any other parents when their children go missing, because that is the worst thing. That's even worse than them finding out that they've been murdered. You look at Jessica, when Jessica and Holly went missing, from that Ian Huntley did it too. Oh my God, they were distraught. When little April went missing, the difference in their face. Now, the McCanns, they weren't so devastated because they knew, in my eyes, although she was, gone from this world, in my eyes, they knew she wasn't being tortured somewhere. She wasn't killed, because you would just think you wouldn't be able to rest, would you, not knowing what was happening to your child in that moment. Anything could be happening to them. They didn't have that look. They knew what happened to Madeleine. They were sad, of course they were sad, and because they'd lost her, but they weren't worrying that something was happening to her just as they were speaking. She could have been being abused or whatever. That's how I felt. They're jogging on the beach, Jennifer, carrying on their life as if, you know, they were too calm and collected. And the very first thing that made me worry about them was, they've got 3 children. They're in a holiday resort. They're putting their children in the, kids club every day. Fair enough. That's what people do when they're on holiday. One of their children gets kidnapped. They've got 2 other children, 2 years old. They carry on putting them in the kids club. You wouldn't prize the children that I had left. You know, I've lost one. You wouldn't get those other 2 children away from my side. You know, it'd be like, how could you then leave them in the holiday club when it could have been someone from the holiday club that had abducted your other child? You know, supposedly you've no idea what's happened to that child. So what do you do? Think, oh yeah, I know, tomorrow we'll put our other 2 children in the holiday club. I couldn't have been away from them, and I think probably everybody would feel the same. You know, you once she left the twins and ran back to the restaurant. You're right, Pauline, she did. Never even thought about that. So you go in, one of your children's disappeared. So what do? You leave the other 2 and go back to the restaurant. And the other thing was when that friend of theirs, I think it was Jerry's sister, phoned the guy at ITV, Martin Frizzell, who I think they've all got a connection, because she phoned Martin Frizzell at 7 o'clock the following morning. She phoned, and the first thing she said to her, she phoned him, she phoned the This Morning studio, or Good Morning Britain studio, GMTV it was then. And first thing she said was, they were checking on the children every half an hour. And then later, that very same interview, like about 10, 15 minutes later, she said, they went at 8 and checked and everything was okay, went at 9 and checked, and then they went back at 10. That's not every half an hour, that's every hour. They were just, you know, having a jolly. They were. Anyway, and as you know, as I've said, the only reason those children were left in there was because they didn't want the children with them. Portugal is like Spain. You take your children out. People would have been out with children. It's not a place where you can't take children. You take the children out. The children are running around. And then when they get tired, you put 2 chairs together and they go asleep. We've done it here in Spain a million times. Yeah, I think he is still alive. Yeah, and they were never, ever charged with neglect. How were they never charged with neglect? And nobody even really mentions it. You know, we do, but when you see like official documentaries and stuff like that, and they're all on their side, and they never say, you know, why weren't you charged with child neglect? I know I would have been. Because I would have been a single parent who was born on a council estate, not Dr. Yes, I saw that, Jackie, that the parents said they were told not to show any emotion on camera by the police. That's a load of rubbish. Sorry, not saying you're a load. What you're saying is, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You could tell me not to show any emotion on camera. Would you be able to not show any emotion when your child's gone missing? It wouldn't matter whether somebody told you not to do it or not. You just won't be able to. It'd be impossible. So the uncle got hypnotized. Yes, Barb, they were connected. I'll tell you what it was, is Gordon Brown, who was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, so he's like the sidekick to Tony Blair, if you like, at the time. Apparently, Jerry McCann's sister, lived on the same street as his brother. And so she knew Gordon Brown's brother, so she went and spoke to Gordon Brown. Gordon Brown went and spoke to Tony Blair. And I think, for whatever reason, but yeah, we would have been the scum of the earth if we did it. That's right, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's only talking about it tonight. I'm thinking, if those police, when they searched that dam 2 or 3 weeks ago, or it was certainly over a week ago, possibly 2 weeks ago, and they did take away those USB things, they would know what was on them by now. Why are they not saying anything about that? And the only thing they can come up with are the soil samples. I mean, you can't convict someone and say, no, well, you've got the soil samples from the place that you used to go. You've freely admitted that you used to go to many times. Well, that doesn't prove anything, does it? So that's strange. Very strange. Yeah, Clement Freud. Do you know that's it? Well, Chumba, you're saying doctors, that somebody said that. I remember, like, Jerry is a surgeon, or was a surgeon. I don't know what he's doing now. And surgeons are ice cold. They've got to be, and you want them to be, because they've got to have a strong nerve, haven't they? If you're you want a surgeon to operate on you who is detached, cold, because that they have to be. When that guy operated on my eye, I don't want him being like a blubbering wreck. I want him to be cold. I want him to be detached. I want him to do it properly. And I'll tell you what, the other thing I'll say about that as well, from the very next morning when I took the patch off, she had to just keep the patch on overnight. From the very next morning, I could see perfectly. It was instant. It's bloody brilliant, actually, what they can do, isn't it? It is nonsense, Jumbo. Jerry's moved up. He's a professor now, is he? Okay, what else did I want to talk? I just want to talk briefly about Phillip Schofield. I haven't really got anything to say, but I've been noticed now suddenly quite a lot of celebrities are coming out defending him. But look at them, who they are. Piers Morgan. Who was the other one? Jeremy Clarkson. Vanessa Phelps. Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew's ex-wife, coming out and saying, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Oh my God. I just think, okay, yeah, leave him alone. It's not a question. Nobody is accusing. People are feeling that Phillip Schofield has groomed a young boy. So, okay, we don't have any evidence, but but I think we don't have. There's a lot of things going on in the background. But these people are coming out and saying, oh, leave him alone, and it's a witch hunt, and this, that, and the other, as if there's absolutely nothing. I just don't understand it. And you've got Piers Morgan, who absolutely hounds Meghan Markle. You've got, and whatever, don't want to get into a thing about some people like Meghan Markle, some people don't like her, but at the end of the day, if that isn't a witch hunt that he's got against Meghan Markle, I mean, it's just not right the way he talks about her and the way a lot of the press. That's okay. Talk about her like that, but no, you can't say anything about Phillip. I think there's a huge cover-up with this ITV scandal, and I think sooner or later it's going to come out. Might not be tomorrow, but it will eventually. And I was watching my new favourite person. I'm only joking, she's not my favourite person, but I've been watching a lot of Katie Hopkins lately. And some of the things she says very interesting, because she worked on This Morning. She knows a lot of the people in those circles, and she's not saying anything when she doesn't like Phillip Schofield. You can see that, but she said it's just a matter of time. There's so many things going to come out. So I think she does. Yeah, Rachel, right? He brought up the Caroline Flack thing, and everyone's scared now to say, because it's like, oh yes, if you say anything else against me, I'm gonna, do myself. But that is coercive control. That is what any of you that are out there, if you've ever been with like a coercive control partner, they quite often do that. You try and leave them, they threaten that they're going to do something to themselves. That's how they manipulate. It's a manipulation many times. Caroline Flack didn't say that. She didn't go and say, oh, if you don't leave me alone. She bloody should have said it. And maybe if she would have said it, they would have left her alone. But she didn't say it. She just went off and did it. He's manipulating people by saying that. I hated the fact that he said that. I think it's awful. But yeah, and I do think there's a lot of messages as well. That vaping thing was very strange. I felt like he was putting out, I think he'll know a lot about a lot of important people. I think it goes higher, it goes further. It is just like the Jimmy Savile thing, I think. He may well have been groomed himself. He came, from the BBC when he was very young. Who knows what happened to him, in his life. It's like just I don't know. I think there's so much you can't. At the end of the day, it's speculation, but that's how I feel. I do feel, and I won't talk about it. Another time. I'll sort of look into it because it is only my opinions, and I'm giving my opinions without any backup, and so I'm not going to do that. But sometime in the future, maybe if other things come out, there's a lot of things I'd like to say, but I have no proof. So it's just, I shouldn't say it really. Okay, what was I going to, so I was going to look at Rebecca tonight as well. Where are we? What time is it yet? Heather, that Katie's Arms is really good. I've really enjoyed it. I've been watching. Children don't get treated well in show business, Barb. How many child stars end up like wrecks, like when they're adults and that? There's so many problems, isn't there, in show business and that. It's a kick. Right. So I had a phone call today from, I don't know if I've told you, but I think I did mention it. I was on bargain hunting Brits in the Sun. Last year they came here and filmed me. I've had one episode has gone out so far. I think there's another episode to come out. Anyway, they've been phoning me all week. Well, in fact, for the last couple of weeks, asking to come back, like for a catch up, and to film me again. And you know what? I mean, I should want to do it really because it's good publicity, etc. But I actually don't like it. They're very, and I think this ITV thing, I know, it's put me off because I can see how pushy they are. So pushy, and they want to come round, and then I don't know. I still haven't seen. There's one of the episodes that they filmed. I still haven't seen it, so I don't know how they've edited it. I don't know how I come over in it, and now they want to come and do another episode. But that episode hasn't gone out yet, so I want to see that episode. And I've told them this. So I've told them this, and I said, look, really, I want to see the episode that you filmed last year. Make sure that I'm happy with it, and see if it does have any impact on my business, like the Spanish classes, before I do another episode. But they're like insistent, and I think with all this, it sort of put me off, and I thought, no, because it's all about the program, isn't it? They don't really care about you or your welfare, or they say they do. They'll say, okay, right, we'll come back to, and then I've told them not to phone me, for example. I said, don't phone me, send me a message. Because sometimes they phone me and I'm in class, or I could be here on a live stream or whatever. And I said, I don't want phone calls, only messages, please. Oh, right, okay. And then they phone me again. They don't listen to what you're saying. It's all about the program. They're not bothered about me. It's just what they can put in the program. And it's like, trying to find something out about you or whatever. So I don't like it. Oh, you were on a Channel 5 documentary, Pauline. Well, this is Channel 5. Well, it will be on Channel 5. But I think it's the production companies, they're under pressure to I don't know if you've ever watched Bargain Loving Brits in the Sun or whatever, but there's loads of episodes come out, so they're always looking for they're always just looking for something to talk about, you know. So okay. Oh my goodness, God, my voice is going. I've talked about so many things. I haven't even started with Rebecca Smith yet. So did you all see Rebecca's, what do we think of Rebecca? Little Britain's about dwarfism. I haven't seen that. No, I'm not in Benidorm. Now they're all about, it always used to be in Benidorm, didn't it? It's near, and it was all about bars and caravan parks and but I think what's happened is they've just run out of people to do stories on, so they're starting to branch out. It's a bit of a long story how I ended up getting on it, but they contacted me and asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said yeah, of course, because I was thinking, oh, that'd be really good, you know, publicity for my Spanish classes and for my Spanish YouTube, etc. And you know, I don't know, but I enjoyed it. It was very interesting to see, you know, because it always looks so glamorous, doesn't it? Like film is not glamorous at all. I mean, it's just not, you know, and I'm sure that's the same even in like GMTV and like really popular programs. It's not as glamorous as it looks, you know. So well, Katie Hopkins said something very interesting on her last Katie's Arms about how now, because this is why she got fed up with it, and also how a lot of presenters have ended up not staying at ITV, because she said the narrative that you're allowed to talk about, it's gone from being like this, you know, you might have been like a big page of all the things you're allowed to talk about. And she said, and now it's so tiny. You're only allowed to talk, you can't talk about COVID, or you can't talk about this, or you can't talk about that. So you're so constrained what you can talk about. For someone like her, it's impossible, because she's got no filter, has she? So she just says what she thinks. And you know, and I like that. Either sometimes I agree with her, sometimes I don't agree with her, sometimes I hate the things she says, and sometimes I think, no, you're really right. But I don't mind that she says them, because I'm a grown-up person. I can make my own mind up about things, and it just because I don't agree with her doesn't mean I have to hate her because of one thing that she says that I don't agree, or even if she says 10 things I don't agree with. You know, different opinions are important. We're grown-ups. We make our own minds up about things, don't we? We don't want people telling us what we should think, you know. So that's the way I look at it. Is it's like me here now. I'm giving you my opinion about things, I suppose. But if you don't agree with me, you won't agree with everything I say. There'll be loads of things you will agree with that otherwise you won't be here. But there'll be some things you'll be thinking, oh God, you know, I had a member who doesn't agree with my views, like on Meghan or Harry or whatever, or who, you know, that's quite a polarizing thing, isn't it? The opinions of whether we like Harry or we don't like Harry, but that doesn't mean to say you don't agree about other things, and that doesn't mean to say you have to fall out because you don't agree with things. You just have different opinions in that particular case. And I found it quite interesting to hear someone else's opinion, because I think that what's happened with me with the Harry Meghan thing is I feel like the British press is so down on them. It pushes me the other way, so I don't even see the other side, because it's just so negative about them. There's an instinct in me then to just think, oh, well, they must be right then. Do you know, it's like so extreme, the prejudice in the British press. So I like to hear the others. I like to hear somebody who, you know, I know isn't a nutter, like, you know, I know is like a person who's got reasonable opinions about things, giving me a different opinion. Same with Brexit, same with anything that I maybe don't agree with. I like to hear why people thought it was a good idea, because I want to understand why people think a certain way. And that doesn't mean necessarily I'll come over to their way of thinking, but at least I'll understand more about it. The only thing I ever block anyone about is being aggressive in their, or disrespectful in their opinions. Oh no, I don't block anyone. Well, I say I don't. I have blocked a couple, only 3. I think it's 3. But yeah, they're just so aggressive, and not only to me. I don't like it when they're aggressive to the other people in the chat or whatever, because you know, people will say to me, oh, I don't even want to put a comment because this person. I'm not having that. You know, at the end of the day, if they don't like it, they can. Sometimes I have to think, well, hang on a minute. It's not an actual obligation to watch my channel. You know, it's not like you don't go to prison if you don't watch it. You know, sometimes when they say things, I just think, well, why are you even watching? If I watch if I watch Katie Hopkins later, if I watch some of her content and she says something and I think, oh, if it was so awful, I would just turn it off. You know, I wouldn't go on there and say to her, oh, you're this, that, and the other. Because, you know, that's just her opinion. If I didn't like listening to it, I'd just turn it off, or I'd go on to another video. I didn't like that video, I'd try another one. You know, you can't agree with people with everything, can you? Whose book did you like? Oh, it's all about Portuguese wine. I don't think I've ever had Portuguese wine. Maybe one day. Okay, so do you know, oh, I've got 10 minutes because I have to come off at 9 because then my son has to take over the living room. But anyway, where am I? Oh, Rebecca. Now, do you know what? I think I'm going to do a video about Rebecca. We'll have a little look about Becky Smith because I've prepared it. Let's have a little look at her press conference and some of the relevant things. I know I'm going to do this wrong probably. You know, I always go wrong when I try and share things, but maybe not. Oh, maybe it'll work. Let's see what's coming up. Oh, what's coming up? It's coming up. So what do we think of Rebecca Smith? Now, so of course, Silly Sally got kicked off, didn't she? She was rubbish. And in came the big one. Let's listening. Listen to this.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Investigation to find Nicola. She and her family remain foremost in our thoughts and our priorities in the investigation. Some of what Becky and I will say today has already been made public and has been widely reported, but I'm acutely aware that there continues to be extensive media interest, commentary, speculation, and indeed some criticism of our police investigation. Therefore, to try and address some of that, we will take you through in some detail, more than would normally be the case with an investigation, what exactly we've done over the... To remind us, Nicola went missing on Friday the 27th of January. And since that time, we have done an unprecedented amount of work on the investigation to try and find her. The sole focus of that work is to find Nicola, to bring it home to a family and give them the answers they so desperately need. The investigations involved a dedicated team of more than 40 detectives.
Good.
They've been looking through hundreds of hours of CCTV, dashcam footage, speaking to numerous witnesses, carrying out digital inquiries, and examining literally hundreds of pieces of information submitted by the public. And I would like to thank the public for all of their assistance throughout this investigation. There are also dozens of other officers and staff who have helped in the investigation.
Notice he was thanking the public there. This was before they got really sort of arsy with the public. You know, they'd been asking the public for help, and he did thank the public there. So this is who is he? I did write down who he is. He's the chief constable or assistant. Where are we? Oh God, I wrote his name down somewhere. I can't remember where it is now. Yeah, Peter Lawson. Peter Lawson, isn't he? He's the assistant chief constable. And you know, this press conference was called when Silly Sally had got absolutely nowhere with anything, done everything wrong. And they did this press conference. So this was after Paul had done his interview. We've still got to look at Paul's interview again to remind us why we were. Gosh, it's funny, isn't it? Because we've not heard from him or Emma for so long. It's almost, you think, oh God, you know, you sort of lose this connection with why you were suspicious in the first place. And so this particular press conference was after Paul had done his interview with Dan Walker, but before Nicola was found, wasn't it? And this is where they first talked about Nicola's specific vulnerabilities. So let's just have a little look.
Searches and reassurance for the local community in St Michael's. We've involved a range of specialists, both locally, regionally and nationally. The investigation has not wanted at any stage for experts who are the best in their field available to law enforcement in the UK. I would emphasise that it remains the case. There is no evidence to indicate a criminal aspect or third-party involvement in Nicola's disappearance. However, the officers involved in the investigation.
Yeah, so they keep saying that there's no evidence there's no evidence for a third party. They say that so often, but there was no evidence for anything. This is my thing with this whole case. I don't know how the coroner's going to unravel all this, because there just is no evidence. They say she went into the river. The reason why they're so convinced she went into the river, which obviously she was eventually found in the river, but the reason why was because there was nothing to show she had come away from the riverbank, was there? But if you take the thought that maybe she was never there in the first place, that changes everything. But if she was there, if that really was her that was seen going there, then they have nothing to show that she came away. So that is why they were convinced that she must have gone into the river. And I do think that only 3, yeah, come on, more likes please, more likes. If I only got 3 likes. Yeah, you know, she was so convinced, they were all so convinced that she'd gone to the river. I think it sort of blindsided them a bit. You know, it's, I don't know. Now, he goes on then to say, I'm going to fast forward it a little bit because I want to hear from Becky. Now, I don't agree with the fact that Becky shouldn't have been wearing that dress or shouldn't have straightened her hair or whatever. I mean, maybe she should have put a uniform on, because he had his uniform on, didn't he? Silly Sally always had her uniform on when she spoke. I'm not really sure why Becky decided she wanted to come out in a dress. Well, I don't. To me, that's not important. It's if she was capable and efficient, I wouldn't care what she wore. She could wear a bin liner as far as I was concerned. But I see why people feel like she should have been dressed more in a police uniform. Why wasn't she? I'm not really sure. I wonder why that was. Or maybe she doesn't wear a uniform. You know, when I've seen other videos of her, like in police training things, that she doesn't wear a uniform. So maybe she just never does wear a uniform. So it wasn't, that was the reason. I don't know. Yeah, high up officers get to wear, you know, whatever. Because she's like she is quite high up, isn't she? And I think for her to get where she is, you know, that's great for a woman to get to that position. So I always try and give her the benefit of the doubt, like I do with everyone. But yeah, so I don't think what she's wearing or what her hair's like, you wouldn't, you know, that doesn't get said about men. I don't really like that, to be honest. But anyway, I know that did upset a lot of people. But what I want to focus on here, as Silly Sally did the same, they're always full of what they've done. They've had all these resources, all these police, you know, they're really bigging up the sort of effort that they've put into this search and everything. But ultimately, they didn't find her, did they? You know, so they can big it up all they want, but why did they not find her? You know, so I don't think it's, you know, oh God, and they had that, and besides that, the Peter Falding help, etc., and the public's help. People get, and all that help. They'll say they had waders, they had underwater drones, they had this, that, and the other. But they didn't find her. So I don't think that really reassures us. That makes us think, well, even more, feel more convinced that maybe she wasn't there to be found. Yeah, I think if it was a man, nobody would. If he would have come out in a tracksuit, they would have noticed. But if he'd come out in a suit, very smart with a suit and tie, nobody would have commented on it. So, you know, I thought she looked smart, and that of course she should. Sometimes I think women can't win because no matter what they do, you know, what if she wouldn't have straightened her hair? So if she would have just had her hair all over the place or whatever, I don't know. But she probably came out to that. That's probably how she goes to work every day, to be honest. That, to me, perhaps it's the era that I come from. We wore that was the sort of clothes you would wear to the office. You know, you'd have, it's like smart clothes. And maybe that's how she always goes to work. So, okay, so let's have a look. So, yeah, all this blowing their own trumpet about all the effort that they put into finding Nicola, they didn't find her. You know, it's just like, well, you didn't find her. Let's have a look what Becky's got to say.
With that officer, he will be able to assist with those.
I'm sorry, I'm fast forwarding it a bit.
Piece of investigation, and that continues and will continue to do so until we have reviewed all the information received. So in terms of the actual timeline, Nicola Bulley dropped her children off at school at about 8:40 on Friday the 27th of January. That was normal. And she then proceeded, after chatting to a couple of people in the school yard, walked up Garstang Road and onto the river path.
Now, hasn't that been debunked now that she chatted to a couple of people in the schoolyard? Will this come up at the inquest? Did she chat to a couple of people in the schoolyard? I think that's what makes this case so confusing as well, is how the timeline has changed so much. One minute, you know, such and such had seen her, and someone else, she'd had some sort of exchange with another dog walker, and now they're saying she did it. You know, so it's all changes all the time. So she's just said she had a chat with a couple of people in the schoolyard. Who were those people?
Over an iron bridge that takes you down to these fields. We know that because there are witnesses who have identified her, and also from her phone data. We know that
So again, who are the witnesses that have identified her? Will we find that out? I think that might be why the inquest has made 2 days. I think there must be people that are going to come and give testimony that they've seen her or whatever. You know, he's called quite a few witnesses. Now, they said also they know it from her phone data, but of course the phone data, they only know that the phone went over the iron bridge. It didn't necessarily mean that that was Nicola who had the phone at that time. This is the problem. You know, we know from the phone data she walked that way, or the phone went that way, but we don't know for certain that it was actually Nicola who was carrying the phone.
Nicola entered the field and made a couple of messages on her mobile phone, one to her boss and one to a friend, making arrangements for a play date for her children. And at 9:01.
So I think these things are more or less certain, aren't they? Because they, again, all the things that are actually registered on the phone, we know that they're true, that she sent the message to a friend to arrange a play date, the email to her boss, and she logged on to a phone call. Let's just go forward a bit more.
Would have been able to hear or provide us with any information. I can assure you from the outset that was investigated thoroughly, and that is not the case. We know at this time that there were a number of dog walkers in the area, and we've been extremely fortunate from the very start of this inquiry to have a number of witnesses, key witnesses, who know Nicola. So there is no miscommunication about the identification of who is in that field.
So what about that? So she's saying there's no doubt, no miscommunication. She spoke to a few dog walkers who knew her, and there's no danger of miscommunication.
And also, we've viewed a substantial amount of CCTV. Again, whilst we can't cover the whole area with CCTV, we've been really fortunate in that we've had a lot, which has really been able to help us in pin down both Nicola's movements and also the movements of key witnesses, which is why we were able to give a timeline of events quite quickly, but reiterating that we were remaining open-minded to all three of those scenarios.
Yeah, so now she's saying that there was the 3 scenarios. She was either in the river, it was a third party was involved, or she left voluntarily. Now she's saying that they were still open to those scenarios. I don't think they were. I think, you know, from various videos and that they had decided she'd gone into the river. And of course, this is the press conference where they first talk about the vulnerabilities that has never been talked about before, that Paul didn't mention to Peter and Emma didn't mention to Peter Falding. Paul didn't mention in the interview with Dan Walker. Nobody, Silly Sally, when the Lancashire reporter asked her, are there any reasons? Was she ill? Was it? No, definitely not. Or it's not relevant. And then in this was the interview where they suddenly come out with this thing about the vulnerabilities.
Has CCTV that covers the gate that enters the field and the front of the site.
Move on to it.
Days. Media accounts this morning. The family.
Oh, she just goes on here to say that they're working on the social media accounts, and sometimes it might look like Nicola's online, but it's not Nicola who's online. It's the police that are in charge of the phone. They've got the phone, and they're the ones that are doing it.
I believe that to be suspicious, but we are continuing to investigate that so that we can identify whoever was in the area that time to make sure that.
That bit was where she was talking about the 2 fishermen, that she said she didn't think that it was suspicious to see 2 fishermen in the area of a lake, of a river, you know, that it would be typical to see fish. And it was, to be fair, it was a very cold day, perhaps, to be fishing, but it is a place where you see fishermen.
Lastly, there has been some mention of CCTV specifically at the caravan sites that hasn't been working, and that's suspicious itself. That is not the case. We have been helped and assisted beyond all belief by the caravan owners in this. The whole community wants to find Nicola and wants to give the family the answers that they deserve.
Yeah, now quite often, of course, the caravan sites are, you know, sort of accused of maybe being involved or whatever. I don't think they've got anything to do with it. I'm sure they've been investigated, but I don't feel that anyway. I don't think they had anything to do with any of it. I think the caravan sites, Penny and Ron and all that, they're just there. Then I don't think they have any involvement. That's my opinion. Again, maybe someone can show me any other opinion, but yeah, she is just saying, just take our word for it. But anyway, let me just see a bit more. I want to get to the bit where she talks about the vulnerabilities.
Lastly, the family, and they are the most important part of this. And all this speculation and rumour is affecting them. They've got a loving daughter, sister, partner and mother who is missing, and that is my priority and the priority of the investigation team, and always has. And we can't be detracted from that. I have met the family on a number of occasions and will continue to do so. And they are kept through regularly updated throughout with our progress. There are dedicated family liaison officers who speak daily to the family, and only yesterday spent a significant amount of time with Paul. I can assure you that this investigation has been thoroughly investigated, no differently than any other major investigation from the outset, and that my absolute priority is to do everything we can to provide the answers to Nicola's two daughters who need to know where their mummy is.
Oh.
And whilst we have shared information today about specific individual vulnerabilities specific to this case and Nicola, I would ask you to respect the family's privacy in respect of those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Okay, so they go on to take some questions. So let's see. Becky, when I pause, if you see her face there, she looks like she's thinking about something, doesn't she? I don't know.
I cannot be 100% certain of that at the minute because we are continuing. It's a live investigation and there is always information coming in. But we are in the 20th day. We have had a thorough, dedicated, meticulous investigation, and there is not one single piece of information that has come to note that would suggest that Nicola has left those fields.
Yeah, so she'd just been asked there, do you think that Nicola will be found alive, basically? And she says she can't find anything to suggest that Nicola has left those fields. So she definitely thinks Nicola's gone into the water.
Madeleine, ITV, good morning, Britain. Two questions. First of all, can we confirm whether Nicola was wearing a headset at the time she was
No, she wasn't.
So she wasn't, so she was listening to it directly.
Yes.
Secondly, as you come to the end onto the Iron Bridge, you turn left. So right, you say
Yes.
being covered off
Yes.
by CCTV.
Yes.
Are we saying that to the left is a blind spot? And if so, how far down? There's no CCTV there, I take it.
Not on that main road. I can't give you the specifics of the exact how many sites, but we were basically scoping off all the, as you turn left.
One thing that did annoy me about Rebecca, she's like, I can't give you the specifics of that, but she should know the specifics because she is, she is in charge. She also refers to Willow as he, so she doesn't even, know that. I mean, Willow is a female dog, isn't she? I mean, or is it me? Maybe I'm getting it wrong. I don't know. But anyway, let me just carry on playing it. But yeah, sometimes I think, do you really know all the information? shouldn't she know the specifics? I mean, she is the person in charge of the investigation. I forget specifics sometimes of it, especially the timelines, which just absolutely do my head in. But she's the bloody person in charge of the investigation.
Left. Yeah. We're trawling all that area for any CCTV that we have got, but the main road, that area there, isn't covered, unfortunately. So from the Iron Bridge, to the school, if you will,
Yes.
there is nothing there, which is why it's so important for the dash cam, because even though they're going to be tiny bite sizes of information, they're not going to be as good as being able to view CCTV. We need to be able to piece together as much of that portion of the road as we can.
And of those 700 cars, how many of these spoken to, or what percentage of these spoken to?
I can't give you exact figures on that, because obviously there will have been more today that have come in, but a substantial amount. No, they've all had individual letters to the cars that we know have gone past in the area, not that particular, but in the area. And we've asked for positive responses only. And any dash cam that's come back in, which there has been an amount of, we have reviewed. Some of it doesn't show anything, some is still being reviewed. But at the minute, there is absolutely no sightings of Nicola on there.
Did I hear correctly that you were appointed SIO on the Monday?
I was, yes.
Have Lancashire Police missed the trick? Nicola Bulley went missing on Friday, and SIO appointed up until the Monday. Was enough done in the first 24, 48 hours?
I can probably take this. I am
that when they ask about have Lancashire Police missed a trick, you know, by not calling off the bench, which we all know they did. He then jumps in straight away because he's covering the back of Lancashire Police. He's covering the back of it. So he straight away jumped in and said, I can take that. I'll take that. And he starts then trying to, justify. He's there to make Lancashire Police look better.
Becky has described, following the initial report of Nicola has been missing, immediately she was graded as high risk. That in itself is a significant level of risk that does bring with it focused attention and significant resources. So I'm satisfied that given there was no evidence of any crime having occurred at that first point of the report, yes, it was handled appropriately. But as the days began to progress, as would be normal with any high-risk missing person investigation, who hadn't turned up, hadn't been found by Monday, we began to layer in the expertise of a senior investigating officer with all the investigation infrastructure that comes with that.
Jerry Williamson from Bauer Media. It took Peter Folding and SGI 3 days to determine that Nicky wasn't in that stretch of river. How long will it take Lancashire Police, and how long will you continue searching the River Wye until you come to the same determination?
And again, it's probably something I can take. The search effort, there are police assets.
What he goes on to say there is that they'll definitely search for another week, but if in that other week they haven't found anything, they might have to look at calling off the search virtually, is what he says. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit.
Or a hindrance in the inquiry.
They're asked, has social media attention been a hindrance or a help in the inquiry? She jumped straight in on that.
Significantly distracted the investigation. In 29 years police service, I've never seen anything like it.
Well, you see, to me, that should tell them something. So in 29 years of police service, they've never seen anything like the social media attention. I mean, I know we're living in a different world now than from 29 years ago, but that people don't just get so involved like that for nothing. This is a world has got created worldwide attention. So that's not for nothing. There's reasons for that, you know, because normally they don't, these cases, there's lots of cases like Nicola's, lots of other women that it can be women and they can, you know, younger women, women in similar situations and everything. This the reason this case has caught the attention of everyone and all over the world is because there's something fishy about it. That should tell us something. It's not normal. No, it's not. It's not normal, but it's for a reason.
Some of it's been quite shocking and really hurtful to the family. Obviously, we can't disregard anything, and we've reviewed everything that's come in, but of course it has distracted us significantly. But as long as we are prioritising, which we do constantly, on the information that's coming in, that will not distract us from the priority actions that we have been completing.
So what's the priority actions? What she says, it's not distracted. Yeah, the priority actions that she's gone in the river. So you mean you're just concentrating on that, and any other information that comes in you're disregarding?
Holly Burke, Daily Mirror. I'm just wondering, obviously, you're talking about the evidence that you're working with, and obviously the main hypothesis. Should you have cordoned off the bench and got forensics in?
Yeah, so this lady now is saying, should you have cordoned off the bench on the first day? Yeah, of course.
So that you could be more certain that you can rule out things like foul play and be absolutely certain, rather than just saying that, you know, it's a main hypothesis.
Yeah, I understand why you would ask that. But at the end of the day, it was treated as a high risk missing from home immediately. And the office that dealt with it in those days.
A high risk missing from home. We need to think about that a minute. High risk missing from home. So, yeah. Well, she wasn't missing from home. She was away from home. But anyway.
Had the land searched immediately, which included the area around the bench.
And that's just not true.
Is it not significant that Willow was running between the bench and the gate, not the bench and the water's edge? I mean, I'm no expect to be an expert on dog behaviour. What do you make of that? What does anyone? What do you?
But obviously, I can't speak to the dog.
I can't speak to the dog. That's a little bit sarcastic, isn't it? She's very defensive in this interview.
And all we can say is that he was running backward and forward.
It's not a he, it's a she.
And he was still in the area where Nicola's possessions were, and that's all I can say.
But was more interested in the gate and the path leading away from there than the actual water.
At that time, when the witness found Willow.
Yeah, you see, this is very important to me. She's sort of disregarding it. Maybe she's never had a dog. But as I've said in previous videos, it's very important to me. Willow was not interested in the water. So if Nicola had gone into the water, Willow would either be in the water with her or crying at the bank. That's just been proven so many times, not just in my experience, in my actual experience, but from what Peter Folding or anyone has said. When people have gone into the water, the dogs are they're either following them into the water or they're stood on the bank crying, howling. You know, Willow wasn't doing that. I think that's very, very important. I know you can't speak to Willow, but at the end of the day, that's important.
Was between the bench and the gate. However, I have to point out the dog could have got out from there.
We'll take one more question, please, everybody.
I'll go away for a minute from Talk TV.
Has the Police and Crime Commissioner had a meeting to voice any of his concerns surrounding this?
The Police and Crime Commissioner has been kept apprised, but the constabulary has operational independence and has been carrying out the investigation, and information stays with the investigation. That's the nature of policing. Just given I'd said one more question, and I'll just give it to Nick to bring one more in. Thank you.
Right, yeah. Thank you. Hannah Allen from the Right. You've outlined what you've done so far, which is great and really helpful. Thank you. But are you able to talk us through sort of what your plan might be, where the investigation will go in the coming week or so, and also what impact is this having on flagship?
Right. It is not, but the one thing or other thing that, are you all still there? Sorry, we were off there listening to that. I'm glad there's still a few of you left here sort of listening to this, but because it's been quite long. But hi, Wendy Woo. Yeah, she must have been wearing Harry Potter's invisibility coat. Gosh, my voice is totally going now. Something that one of those reporters asked was, oh, while we've just even been here, since you said about the vulnerabilities, I've had 3 messages from people saying, what are the vulnerabilities? Because this was the interview where she said that we had been appraised of Nicola's specific vulnerabilities. And this was the interview where she wouldn't go into it any further. And then literally 1 or 2 hours later, suddenly we were all told about her vulnerabilities, about the alcohol problems and the menopause and the depression and this, that and the other. And it's just like woof, wasn't it? Being hit by all these different things. Now, oh, hi, thank you, Barb. See you next time. But I just wanted to say that that's something I've got to look into. This Mark William Thomas, who I used to have a lot of respect for, but I actually have really gone off recently since he started defending Oscar Pistorius and, just saying some very strange things. Apparently it was him that was going to come out with this story about the vulnerabilities now, but I don't know the truth of that, so I have to look into that. Somebody was going to bring this story out to light, and that's why the police came out with it in the end. And I will always feel that's a disgrace to Nicola's memory that was made public, and the police telling us not to, to be respectful to the family and to not do this and not do that, and then to come out and display Nicola's private life to the world, and telling everybody else off for doing it. We're not exposing. We didn't expose Nicola's private life. We don't know about it. We just care about what happened to her, and we want to know what happened. We're not the ones going around saying that she had these that she was a menopausal alcoholic. It wasn't us that said that. It was somebody else said that, and then we were told that, and then we had to digest it. And that's what. Gosh, I'm glad I've just watched that, because I remembered why I got so angry in the first place. Yeah, I don't like that Mark William Thomas. I did, but I don't know. I've got to look into him a bit. And what's going on your street, Bad Fairy? Lots of police on your street. What's going on? I hope you're okay. Where are you? Are you in Scotland? I can't remember. Are you in Scotland? Or whereabouts are you? Anyway, sorry. So let's turn that off now. So we've had a little look through it. Coming up to the inquest, I'll be looking at a lot of the interviews, like from ages ago, etc. Oh, don't get upset. I'm not getting upset. My voice is going because I've been talking a lot. It's not because I'm getting upset. I'm okay. I'm fine. But I've got to go. So, yeah, exactly. Jackie, we all get vulnerable in our lives. It's not to be ashamed of, but it's annoying to me that they say it, that I don't know, they cast these aspersions. So often happens that, I think, especially to women more than men. Somebody has said that about her. She's not here to defend herself. At the end of the day, she's not here to defend herself. Maybe we'll never know exactly what happened that day. Maybe she did decide to take herself away. We just don't know. So we're all hoping for answers. Let's see what Mr. James Agley, I've got a lot of faith in him. He finds something out. At least we'll get some answers. I don't think nobody will ever know exactly what happened probably that day. But yeah, I don't think she would leave Willow. I don't think Willow would have let her leave without going absolutely mad. And if she would have gone into the river, Willow would have been either in or by the river. If she went off the other way, she wouldn't have left Willow running around. Willow could have jumped over that stile. There's a great big road at the end where there's cars going past every 30 seconds. She wouldn't have left Willow to get squashed on the road. So she would have tied her up. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Claire, enjoy your weekend. Everybody enjoy your weekend. So I'm going to finish there, but remember to always live and love very carefully. I'll see you very soon in the next video. If you're a member, you'll be finding out probably tomorrow now, because I haven't got any voice left now. Obviously, where I'm going on Monday, and you can send me any questions or anything you might want me to have a look at while I'm there. And I hope you enjoyed it. And until I see you again, may your gods go with you. Thank you so much. Night, night. Have a good evening.